How much clarity do you have in the problem that you're currently trying to solve? We've all got a vision that we're working towards. We've all heard the analogy around taking it one step at a time and trying to enjoy the journey and all these things that sound fantastic but are really difficult to measure. I think one of the things that is such a powerful thing to become aware of is the specifics around the actual problem that we're trying to uncover the answer to. Today, I want to talk to how this shows up in my life and what the problem is that I'm trying to work on in this very moment. And I want to share a couple of tips that can really help you guys in terms of being able to identify what your current problem is. For all of us, we're all moving towards a vision. We're all wanting to grow and live to our potential. And whether we're conscious of it or not, we all have a problem that we are trying to get to the bottom of, we're trying to solve. And the more that we can do this consciously and on purpose, the more we're going to be able to collect information and use that information to our advantage in subsequent steps. If you're someone who is feeling in a little bit of a rut or you're feeling stuck, I've got a brand new checklist that might be exactly what you need to get yourself back on track. It's been specifically designed for busy entrepreneurs to identify what's most important in all the different areas of life and to start making meaningful progress each and every day. If this sounds interesting, all you need to do is reach out, let me know where to send it, and I will shoot it straight through. It's my completely free gift to you that I hope will provide a ton of value and maybe even lead to us having a conversation at some point in the future. Hello and welcome back to the From Zero to Marketing Hero podcast. My name's Paul Heron. I'm a life coach and entrepreneur. And over the last 5 years, I've been building a successful coaching business. So without any further ado, let's get into today's episode. We're applying some of this stuff in real life, I think. In the introduction there, we spoke about how uncertainty around what it is that we need to be doing and how we're going to measure success really just leads to this sense of spinning wheels and uncertainty around what we even should be doing. So what's the solution? What should we be doing? And something that I've become more and more aware of over the past couple of months since I've been at this project is really becoming aware of what the specifics are of the problem we're trying to solve. When we're looking to step out of our comfort zone, when we're trying brand new things, when we're wanting to live to our potential and start making a real difference, it does require us to have a couple of the fundamentals in place first, I guess. We need to be able to get really brutally honest about where we're starting from. We need to understand where we are. We need a clear vision. I think I spoke about this. I touched on this in yesterday's episode, I believe. So you can go check that out if you need to. But understanding what our vision looks like and what that target looks like that we're going to move towards is huge. Once we have these 2 points, very much in the same line as Google Maps in our GPS systems in our car, we're able to start plotting a path between those 2 points. But very often what we do is we have this vision and we just jump in and start doing stuff. I've fallen in this trap in the past and I know that it can just lead to overwhelm. It can lead to not knowing what we need to be doing, not knowing when we've done enough, not knowing how we're going to be able to even start measuring progress and results. And, it can just lead to this place where we're overwhelmed and worst case scenario, throwing in the towel altogether. So what do we need to do? And I think, we've all heard that metaphor, taking one step at a time. Anyone who has spent time working with me or listened to me for long enough knows the value in breaking down our goals into manageable chunks. So I guess that's the starting point. We want to have a goal that feels challenging enough, but manageable. We want it to feel attainable. I think, using that old SMART methodology, putting a time boundary around the goal that we're trying to achieve, really having a think through the specifics of what that goal looks like. But I think there's an opportunity to take it even further. We've generally got a an unknown problem that we are trying to find the answer to. If I relate this back to my experience trying to get my head around marketing, over the next 12 months, I've got a vision of becoming someone who is capable and competent in crafting offers that are perfectly tailored to my ideal client, that they resonate with, that start conversations and ultimately bring people into my business. That's the ultimate goal. If I'm just looking at that target, if I'm just looking at that goal, it becomes really difficult for me to even try and think about what the very first step needs to be. So I have broken all this down. I've got myself to a place where I've identified the strategy that I'm going to apply. And I've spoken about this in previous episodes as well. But my strategy is around creating conversations through social media. So by creating valuable content, value-driven content, 4 out of 5 posts that I create on social media, I want to be purely value-driven. I'm going to be focusing on video. So my first goal is to provide value, get video views, and then retarget those people who are watching those videos with more specific offers around downloading very similar value bomb type offers, like I offer at the start of this podcast. If you're listening to the start of this show, it's all about starting conversations. So that's my goal. So my goal, my plan, my strategy is around using social media. I am intending to use paid advertising on the ads or the social media posts that are particularly the ones that are performing well. But it's ultimately around social media content to get comments on the posts, to move those comments into messenger conversations, to move those messenger conversations into a Zoom sales call, and then into paid one-on-one coaching clients into my business. So that's my strategy. But there's a lot of unknown elements in that strategy. That strategy is really nothing more than a hypothesis at this stage. It's the strategy that I have selected from quite a few that I've looked at. It's the one that makes sense to me, and it's the one that I think fits my business and fits me. But I have no actual evidence to support the idea that this strategy will work for me. So that's where I'm at. I've got this, that's the overall problem I am trying to solve. Will this work for me? Now, that problem in itself is, again, really daunting to think about. So over the next few months, I'm going to be testing different elements of that. And I'm right at the very start. Last month, in the month of May, I was brand new. I had no idea how this strategy was going to work. So for the month of May, my strategy was to start posting some content and see if I could get people even interested in watching the videos. So I had a test. My strategy last month was, the problem that I was trying to get the answer to were, how much is it going to cost me? If I'm using paid advertising, how much is it going to cost me to get people watching 25% of these posts that I'm putting up? And start of the month, I had no idea. End of the month, I had a high level of certainty that I can generate 25% views for, I think I've got it down to about 18 cents at the moment, which is awesome. That's the first piece of that puzzle coming together. This month, I'm moving on to the next solvable problem that I'm trying to work through. So this month, it was all about, all right, so I've got these 25% views. How am I going to start creating conversations on Facebook, on Instagram? And the first step is, okay, before I get into a conversation, I need to be getting comments on my requests for these downloads. And that's where I'm at right now. So I'm working through creating some content, creating some reels that I intend to use over the coming weeks to test this hypothesis. So I've got a brand new hypothesis this month. I've got some scripts that I've put together, some reels that I'm going to make. And my hypothesis is that I will be able to get roughly, if I'm putting $5 ads up, so I'm going to put $5 ads up, I want to try and get 2 to 3 comments on those $5 ads per day. That would be gold. If I could get to that point at the end of this month, that would be gold. But I don't know. I don't know I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know how this is going to work. But that is the problem that I am trying to solve right now. And it then becomes a mathematical formula that I'm trying to solve. It's very specific, very clear. I will be able to get to the end of the month and I will know exactly how this is going to work, or whether it's worked, or the results that I've got. And I think this is huge. So I don't know. I hope this makes sense. It really is just taking that idea of taking one step at a time and breaking down our goals to the next level, I guess. Because ultimately, whether it's a weight loss journey, whether it's, in my case, understanding advertising, there's a problem there that I'm trying to uncover, whether it's spending time with your kids, whether it's a diet plan, whatever it might be, it's about moving away from our own assumptions and moving towards a place where we are making a hypothesis, we're trying to figure out the problem we're needing to solve, and we are collecting the data. We want to be making smart decisions. And the only way I'm going to be able to make a decision about what I do in next month, for July, for example, is by using the data that I'm going to collect in June. That's exactly what I'm going to be doing. This is all about collecting data that's going to inform my future steps. It's about being a little bit more strategic and coming up with that plan and getting really specific on what that looks like. So from that, what does that look like on a day-to-day basis for me? So if my goal this week is to try and get comments, most immediately this week is to finish filming these reels that I've drafted. So that'll be done this week. And then over the next 2 weeks, run these reels, $5 a day ads, and just see if I can start getting some traction. I'll run them for a week. If they're not getting the comments I want, I'll go back to the drawing board. I'll start to produce different ideas. I'll start trying to think through what might resonate. If I get a couple that start to get some comments, I will double down on them. But it's always going to be this idea of testing various different alternatives against each other. And it's just this ongoing process of applying action, reflecting on results, improving as we go, and ultimately just building momentum through taking action. I hope this conversation makes sense on some level. It is something that I've been thinking about a lot over the last couple of weeks, and I'm sure will continue to be a huge focus for me. But I know from my experience, just having some clarity on what that problem that I'm trying to solve is has really helped in the way that I've shown up each day and tackled meeting that challenge, which has been huge. It's in complete contrast to the periods of time when I haven't had that clarity at all, when I've just been sitting there going, okay, I've got this vision, but what am I going to do to try and get there? And I think that's where we get to this place where we're just throwing mud at the wall and seeing what sticks. I think we want to try and get away from that and be a little bit more deliberate about our ideas, what that hypothesis is, what we want to try and solve for, and collecting the data along the way. Making our decisions based on evidence that we've collected rather than just assumptions. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway to take from this. So let me know what you think. If you have any suggestions on how I can take this to the next level, I'd love to hear from you. If this is something that you've mastered and you've got your head around this and you've got this to work, I would actually love to hear from you. So if this is you, if you've made it this far through this episode and you have mastered this stuff, please reach out. I'd be really interested in potentially even getting you onto the show and having a conversation about how all this stuff works. It is still relatively new to me. It's still an idea that I'm trying to test. I've started to take some small steps forward, which is awesome. And I can see the way that this strategy or this way of approaching things can be so beneficial. So let me know what you think. The best way to reach out is by heading over to my website, paulheronlifecoaching.com. There's a couple of ways you can reach me there. Whatever is the easiest for you is the best way to reach out. Also, remember about my little free gift that I've got on offer. It's a 4-step process specifically designed to help you make the most of each day. So if that sounds interesting to you, reach out, let me know, and I'll send it straight through. And until tomorrow, have a fantastic day today. Bye for now.